Yes! Finally. Ford got their first win in the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season. And not only that, but Brad Keselowski pretty much ended his 3-year winless streak. But anyways, greetings NASCAR enjoyers, and yeah, this has been one heck of a show. The 2024 Darlington Spring Race has been one to watch. And it was absolutely crazy. Yeah, in the first stage, it looked like that Kyle Larson was going to win, like usual. And that Ford was never going to win. Yeah, he won the first stage. But then in the second stage, Tyler Reddick won. And he was looking dominant. But that was until Brad Keselowski overtook both Chris Buescher and Tyler Reddick over an incident. So yeah, it is one crazy race, and oh boy. It was more entertaining to watch, in my opinion, than the Xfinity Darlington Throwback race. Yeah. Whereas the Xfinity Series race was seeing Justin Allgaier dominate. This one was seeing what Darlington was known for. Hard, rough racing. Yeah, when someone rubs you, it's NASCAR tradition, because rubbing is racing. Yeah, sadly, no Days of Thunder throwback schemes in the Cup Series. But it does make up for it with one thing, though. Yep, that's right. They actually did a JGTC, Japanese Grand Touring Car Championship throwback scheme. That I did not expect. The freaking Supra GT Gran Turismo. Yeah, the Castrol Supra. My childhood car. My life is complete. Yeah, because it's been the car that I always liked driving in the Gran Turismo series of games. And one of my first games happened to be Gran Turismo 3. Yeah. And guess what car I was drawn to? The Castrol Supra. Yeah, I was introduced to the Castrol Supra thanks to Gran Turismo 3. And pretty much anybody else got introduced to that car thanks to Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo is this series of games that introduced me to this cool racing series called Japanese Grand Touring Car Championship, now known as Super GT. Because in Japan, everything has to be super. But anyways, there was a lot of crazy action going on. And there were some cautions. Well, it was typical of any Darlington race. Yeah, so some drivers spun out and wrecked out, and of course some drivers got tire punctures, typical of Darlington race. And the most infamous of them all is Kyle Larson's spin out. Which I actually feel bad for Kyle Larson, not a fan of him, but I kind of feel bad for him spinning out and DNFing. Yeah, so it's not only William Byron that's DNF'd in Dover, it's Kyle Larson, because that guy had easily one of the best looking paint schemes in the Darlington Spring Race. It was a throwback to Terry Labonte's Kellogg's car, without the Kellogg's sponsorship, of course. It was the car that made me buy Kellogg's products, including Cheez-Its. But it was Brad Keselowski's car that ended up taking the win, and oh boy. It was the first time that Ford has ever won in the 2024 season. Yeah, it looked like the Ford was never going to win. But they did. And the Ford Mustang Dark Horse finally reigned supreme. And as the spirit of the Castrol Supra lies beneath its sheet metal, it took the number 6 Castrol Ford Mustang Dark Horse to victory lane. And it was awesome. Easily one of the best Darlington races in my opinion, aside from the 2003 Darlington race where Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch had that crazy moment and a close finish. Yeah. And I also wanted to point out that Denny Hamlin and Chris Buescher won the stages in the Kansas race. Denny Hamlin won the first stage in the Kansas race, and Chris Buescher won the second stage. So yeah, I wanted to correct myself there, as if I haven't already said that already. But anyways, this race was awesome. I did like, to be fair, I did like that throwback paint scheme that Tyler Reddick had. Yeah, and believe it or not, it is based on a really obscure NASCAR racing car that didn't win the Daytona 500, but the Busch Clash in 1982. I can't remember his name. But it was a really interesting piece and would easily go on the S tier. So what do I think about this race? It's awesome that the PlayStation Dark Horse Mustang won the race. And I actually gave this car the nickname the Gran Turismo NASCAR. Because of its, well, because of these Castrol Supra's association with the Gran Turismo games. So yeah, I'm calling it the Gran Turismo stock car because of its paint scheme that they went with. And let me know what you think of the nickname. Yeah, so the Gran Turismo stock car won the race. And if anything that is based on one of my favorite cars in Gran Turismo wins the race, then I'd have to rate that race a 9 out of 10, which, well, I'm doing right now. I'm giving this race a rating of a 9 out of 10. Yeah, it's nowhere near the excitement of the 2003 Darlington race, but for a modern Darlington race, it is pretty good. And I finally got to see a car based on one of my childhood icons finally take home the win and finally go to victory lane. And I also got to see Brad Keselowski go to victory lane after a 3-year drought. It's finally time, Brad, because you earned this win, man. You're the man. Yeah, I'm rooting for Ross Chastain, and as much as I'm a fan of Ross Chastain, I actually prefer Brad Keselowski's throwback car over his. Because Ross's is, well, basically the retro bush can design on the car. It's such a missed opportunity to have a Steve Park paint scheme. And yeah, I know they can't use it because Teresa Earnhardt. Seriously, you just gotta let go of those trademarks, Teresa. Dale Earnhardt deserves the number 8. Dale Earnhardt Jr. deserves the number 8. It's his number. Yeah, even if Teresa Earnhardt is a problem, they could have had a throwback scheme of Jeff Gordon's first car that he raced in, because it had a number 1. And it has nothing to do with Teresa Earnhardt. And I also love to see a shark teeth throwback scheme in one of Ross Chastain's cars. And they couldn't even do a freaking Budweiser throwback scheme because it's Anheuser-Busch. They couldn't even throw back to one of Dale Jr.'s paint schemes because of Teresa Earnhardt. But anyways, here is my ranking of all of the Darlington paint schemes, the throwback ones mainly. So, let's go! Alrighty, so here they are. Well, Denny Hamlin's car, even though it looks good, it already doesn't count. And come to think of it, I don't think the 16 car counts either. Neither does the 10. And yeah, because of course, Teresa Earnhardt has the number 8 trademark. It doesn't count as a throwback scheme. It's a shame since Kyle Busch could have ran with a Junior Johnson paint scheme. Yeah, and yeah, even though it looks good, well, it doesn't count as a throwback. Alrighty, so here they are. We're going to rank them. Well, first we're going to start off with Ross Chastain's car. As much as I'm a Ross Chastain fan, and yes, I'm a huge Ross Chastain fan, it sadly goes into the high C tier. Because, well, let's face it, it's basically, well, at least actual effort was put into it, but it's basically the default paint scheme with some retro can designs. And as I said before, it was a missed opportunity to use Jeff Gordon's first car. And heck, even Steve Park's paint schemes, if Teresa Earnhardt ever lets go that trademark. And yeah, this is where it really gets me. Actual effort was put into this car to make it like a throwback car. Because, well, it's the 2022 Busch Clash car. And, well, Penske's pretty much exhausted a lot of opportunities for throwback schemes. Yes, even the Midnight one. Even though it's the number 12 instead of number 2. Seriously, you should actually run that paint scheme with a number 2. Yeah, it sadly goes into the C tier as, for one thing, it's too recent to throw back to. Kyle Larson's car is still from 2022, and it's still looks the same as NASCAR hasn't really changed. I mean, well, Chevrolet hasn't really changed the Camaro body style since 2022, and Chevy's discontinuing the Camaro. Number 3, on the other hand, no, this is awesome. You cannot put a Dale Earnhardt Sr. paint scheme any higher than S. It is a really good paint scheme to throw back to. And heck, Legacy Motor Club could throw back to a Dale Earnhardt Sr. paint scheme. Yeah, I know it's not really a Dale Sr. paint scheme, but it looks the same as Dale Sr.'s car. It's basically Kyle Petty's protest car in the Dover race in '96. Yeah, he painted it like Dale Sr.'s car in spite, and he wants to send a message that all is fair in love and racing. Yeah, he got penalized for an incident, but Dale Earnhardt Sr. didn't get penalized, so Kyle Petty basically decided to paint his car like Dale Sr.'s and hopefully get the message to NASCAR. But yeah, the number 4, yeah, it's a high A tier for me. Yeah, it's a late model racing car, but it still looks pretty cool and kind of reminds me of the silver Dale Sr. cars. Alrighty, as we go to number... Yeah, I want to save the best for last. Go to number 5. Kyle Larson's car is an easy S tier. Yeah, it is an S tier, man, because it is based off of Terry Labonte's number 5 Kellogg's car without the Kellogg sponsorship. Sadly, it spun out and Kyle Larson DNF'd. Yeah, number 7, it's a B tier for me. It's actually based on the K&N Pro Series car. It's pretty interesting that they throw back to, but it's a B tier for me. Alrighty, so you can already disqualify Bubba Wallace's car as it doesn't count as a throwback scheme. But come on, man. You got several McDonald's cars to throw back to. They could have chosen Bill Elliott's McDonald's paint scheme from 1999. That would have been awesome. 2311, if you're listening, please throw back to Bill Elliott's McDonald's paint scheme. It'll look snazzy and retro. Alrighty, so number 12 goes into the D tier. It doesn't look much different from the normal car. And again, it's throwing back to a car that's way too recent. But at least a little bit of effort is made to make it stand out from the other car. Alrighty, so as we go to number 14, I'm going to put the number 14 car into A tier. I actually prefer this one over the late model one, because it is based on a sprint car. No, not Sprint Cup cars. World of Outlaws dirt racing sprint cars. I used to play a World of Outlaws dirt racing game when I was a kid on the PC, and it was really cool. That's how I knew about World of Outlaws. And heck, iRacing has World of Outlaws dirt racing, and I've heard it was pretty good. So I might give that game a try. Alrighty, so number 15, S tier, is based on Pirelli Jones's car. It looks amazing, but in my opinion, not as cool as Dale Sr.'s car, because you can't go wrong with Dale Sr. Yeah, the Dale Sr. throwback car. Number 19, C tier. Yeah, it's a mid-C tier. Because 2018 is a bit too recent to throw back to, man. Yeah, he won the race with that car, but at least actual effort is put into it compared to number 20, which goes into the F tier, because it's not really a throwback scheme, it's an anniversary scheme. Little effort was put into it. Yeah, little to no effort was put into it. They just put on some different stickers and slapped on a 100 Years of DeWalt paint scheme and called it a day. And if you wanted to throw back to any DeWalt paint scheme, I mean, hello, there's this one. The $1 Million Challenge paint scheme, and there's Matt Kenseth's championship winning car in 2003. Really? And number 21, it is an S tier. Easy S tier, man. Because it's based on a NASCAR legend. Any car that's based on a NASCAR legend easily goes into the S tier. But number 22, based on Joey Logano's championship winning car. Really? It looks no different from his regular car. What the heck, Tim Cindric? You gotta do better than that. Yeah, and it's actually lower than Christopher Bell's car, because at least actual effort was put into Christopher Bell's car, but no effort was put into Joey Logano's throwback scheme. William Byron's paint scheme, on the other hand, that's an S tier. It is based on a 2009 Jeff Gordon scheme. And it looks amazing. Number 31. I'm not actually sure it counts. But it's a shame, though, since they could have thrown back to Jeff Burton's car and got a AT&T sponsorship now that Nextel is not a title sponsor anymore. So yeah, I don't think it counts. They could have thrown back to Jeff Burns' car, and no, not Robbie Gordon's car. Robbie Gordon's an evil NASCAR driver that we don't talk about. Number 34 is C tier. At least it has a cool pirate on it. Well, a cartoon pirate. But it's not really thrown back to much aside from the restaurant. Oh shit, the camera's battery died. Yeah, I'm recording off of my MacBook. I'll charge my camera later. Yeah, number 30, I don't think it counts. Number 41 does count though, it's A tier, as it's actually based on a Featherlight modified car that Ryan Preece actually won with. Bravo. You actually did a modified tribute scheme. Not nearly as cool looking as the late model paint scheme and the sprint car scheme. Number 42 is based off of one of Lee Petty's cars, and it's going in the S tier. It is a NASCAR legend. Lee Petty is a freaking NASCAR legend, and if you put it in any other tier, you're just disrespecting Lee Petty. You should be ashamed of putting it in any other tier below S. And I think number 43 might be based on another Lee Petty car. Not sure, but it's going in S tier. Number 45, and this is a car that sadly didn't win. It's actually based, I think, the name's getting back to me. It's Tim Richmond, and the paint scheme is actually interesting as it wasn't really based on a Daytona 500 winning car, but one that won the Busch Clash in 1982. So it's going in S tier for points of interesting NASCAR history. Number 47, that's a high A tier for me. It's actually based on the Roush paint schemes that Oscar Mayer used to have, and they did a good job on the Throwback one. They actually threw back to the 2004 cars. I think they based on it, but number 48, Alex Bowman. Oh yeah, S tier, man. S tier. And it's so good that it throws back to the 7-time NASCAR champion, Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, I was one of those people that, back in the day, was worried that Jimmy Johnson will single-handedly destroy NASCAR, because he's been dominating so much. And if you have if you have a driver dominating, it's pretty cool. Yeah, you see, like, this car, I don't think it counts when I'm putting it in A tier regardless. And the number 54 car doesn't count since it's not a throwback. Number 71 actually looks pretty good. It's based off of an obscure 1970s. Actually, it's based off of Dave Marcis, who's a NASCAR legend. S tier. He was the one who had the most Daytona 500 starts. Yeah, he basically showed up every single time in the Daytona 500, up until 2001. A legend. And this one is actually interesting because it throws back to a police car. I'm going to put it in A tier. Yeah, it's definitely the kind of car you want to have someone roleplay with. Number 9, since I'm a Dale Jr. fan, I'm putting it in high A tier. It's not a perfectly centered number, and it's not a perfect throwback as it doesn't have the National Guard sponsorship. Yeah, because Air Force is the only military sponsorship that still remains. The National Guard doesn't want to sponsor any NASCAR cars anymore. But I'm still putting it in A tier regardless. Daniel Suarez's car is actually based on Adrian Fernandez's car. I might be butchering that pronunciation. And it looks great. It actually looks great. S tier, man. It's high S tier. Right below Dale Sr.'s car. And above the Lee Petty cars. It actually is honoring a Mexican racing legend, which I like. I actually prefer Daniel Suarez's throwback scheme over Ross Chastain's one. But the one that won the race, and the one that's my favorite, is Brad Keselowski's number 6 Castrol Tom's throwback scheme. It is going in the S tier. High S tier, man. See, look. It's right above Kyle Larson's Kellogg's car. Kellogg's throwback car. Even though Terry Labonte made a special appearance, and I appreciate that. It's cool to see Terry Labonte appear once more. I just wish that we got a Bobby Labonte throwback. That would be so cool and so rad. But it's this car that's my favorite because it combines 2 different things from my childhood. NASCAR and Gran Turismo. And it's also based off of the legendary Castrol Tom's Toyota Supra that won the 1997 Japanese Grand Touring Car Championship, aka JGTC, which would be later called the Super GT, and was driven by Michael Crum and Pedro de la Rosa. Yeah. Because anybody who's seen any Gran Turismo related video will know that. And that's why it's high S tier for me. It is just amazing. And I even got a diecast of it. Yes, I even ordered a diecast from it on the actual NASCAR merch site. I'm not sponsoring them, but I actually bought the diecast itself. And heck, I even printed out a picture to hang on the wall. There it is. Yeah, it is my favorite throwback scheme. And I'm glad that Brad Keselowski won. He's been winless 3 years straight, and he finally broke that winless streak. Congratulations, Brad. You did it. You are an amazing man, and Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing is more determined than ever to win. That's what I want to see with Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. Yeah, I'm rooting for Trackhouse, but Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, oh yeah. They're back with they're back on top, competing with Hendrick for wins. Anyways, this is my tier list of the throwback schemes. I've actually been talking to one of my friends, and he says that I should do a tier list of every throwback scheme in NASCAR. Yeah, I might do that sometime, but for now, I'm gonna leave it as is. This is my tier list. Let me know what you think. And what's your opinion on these throwback schemes? Anyways, this is the Bandito signing off. Catch you guys next time and peace out.
Smaller channels are at risk, and every subscriber means a lot to them. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for the latest Racer Cinema Productions videos. And together, we can help drive the YouTube algorithm away from this channel so that I don't succumb to the fate of other smaller channels getting defeated